Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Everyone's doing well, I hope. I'm going through my allergies right now. So if tears start coming down, it's not because of my heart, it's because of my genes. And I hope I don't get a sneezing fit. This morning, when I was walking our dog, I sneezed 17 times in a row. But I feel good now, so. All right, so I'm really happy to be here, especially with our sub-regional leader, Reverend John Jackson. It's good to be here with you. He had a dream with true parents. When he said he had sent it by email, we didn't get it, so maybe after service he can share with us, after the service or something, I don't know, but that's maybe more update. But what I'm going to share with you this morning is the theme that I was given for this month is about the providence of restoration, God's effort to bring his children back home. All right, so that's what I'm going to talk about this morning. And last week we had a wonderful sermon from Jonathan. Wasn't that nice? Very uplifting. And my wife had such an interesting experience because his sermon was about finding that hidden egg, right? That special hidden egg. And so, Easter egg, Yeah, sure. So then we were working hard, so I thought, okay, I'll take my wife out tonight. So I took her out to a movie. Which movie? I don't know. Which is a top movie. And we saw Ready Player One. Oh, yeah. Anybody see that? Only one or two, okay. Anyway, the whole movie was about finding this incredibly special egg. It was exactly what the sermon was about. So I thought, how many times do I hear sermons about finding an egg? And how many times do I go to see a movie about finding an egg? But anyway, on the same day, we had that experience. So it just felt like God was somehow working in different ways, right? God works in many different ways in our lives. All right, so this morning, I hope within this sermon you can find some good egg, all right, for your life. I hope something here that will really benefit you. Because the topic is really important. And the title is, Why is Life So Difficult? Or, The Path to Create God's World of Goodness. Which title do you prefer? The first one? Okay, well, let's get started here. Okay, why is life so difficult? That is probably a question that comes up at some point in your life, right? Like sometimes things get really difficult, and you stop and you ask yourself the question, why is this life so difficult, I remember some of my teenage kids at a certain point, in their lives, I hate my life, just they're just in agony over something, So I want to ask the question, is life really difficult? That's, I think, an important question to ask. We think it's difficult, but is life really difficult? And we might say, yeah, it is, right? So I would like to offer this point. There are different kinds of difficulties. One is the me-centered life is difficult. All right? That's the me-centered life is difficult. From this viewpoint, life is difficult lots of times, right? Sometimes every single morning. It's hard to get out of bed. Anybody has the experience of getting, it's hard to get out of bed sometimes. You feel like, I just want to stay here, pull the covers over my head, Yeah, life is sometimes difficult. Life is difficult because maybe where you work, maybe your boss gives you a hard time. Maybe they take advantage of you. Maybe you just don't like what you're doing, and you're doing it just because you have to earn money. Right? That makes life difficult. Life can be difficult if if you don't like yourself, right? Sometimes you look in the mirror and you say, you know. Yeah, life is difficult sometimes just within our own selves. We have desires that are not fulfilled, maybe. Maybe we had hopes and expectations for our life, which they don't seem like they're going to work out the way we had hoped they would. Or maybe they're just, there's a few extra pounds there that you don't want to be there. And you just feel kind of like, ugh. Okay? So life can be difficult. Life can be difficult just because you feel depressed. Sometimes we go through certain periods of feeling low or depressed. Okay. Sometimes life can be difficult because of insecurity, right? You're afraid of this, what might happen. What if you have an accident? What if you get cancer, What's going to happen when you don't have the money, you don't have this or that? There are thousands and thousands of ways that life can be difficult, and we experience those difficulties, okay? So that's one approach to life, okay? Life is difficult. All right. But there's another kind of difficulty, okay? This is called the path to create God's world of goodness centered life is difficult. Okay? So what I want to propose here is that there's two kinds of ways that life can be difficult. It can be difficult based upon your own personal self, centered on you, right? Or it can be difficult based upon walking the path to help God create a world of goodness. Okay? So this is very important. Life is also difficult for God. Did you ever think about that? Let's give an example. Matthew 4, 1 through 3. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he then became hungry. And the tempter came and said, and then he goes through this great temptation. Do you think Jesus had an easy life? Did Jesus ever crack any jokes that you know of? Did Jesus ever use the word joy? Did you ever check that out in the Bible? He used it one time. Does anyone know the passage where Jesus said that you should jump for joy? When? When they arrest you and they beat you and they persecute you because of his name. In other words, because you're a Christian, because you believe in Jesus, you're beaten, you're put into prison, you're killed. Right? He said, if that happens to you, then jump for joy. Because your blessing will be tremendous in heaven. So did you... It doesn't sound a very good way to get joy, does it? Do you think God originally meant us to find joy that way? I don't think so. So for Jesus, life has not been easy. His life was a difficult life. Very difficult. On the cross, was that easy? No. It was beyond the limit of difficulty that Jesus suffered for us. It's not just Jesus. God has suffered all through history. For God, life is difficult. Right? For Reverend Mrs. Moon, has life been easy for them? No, they've walked a very difficult course. Some of us went to a seminar recently. We had a 7-day seminar over at IPEC, and Reverend Kachi came for 3 days, right? He shared about Reverend Moon's path of life. When he was in the concentration camp in North Korea, when people, were dying everywhere, when people were fighting each other to get food out of a dead man's mouth. In that kind of miserable situation, tortured, beaten, in the cold, freezing cold, death is everywhere. Yeah. So even people who choose to love God, they also have a difficult life. Okay? So there's two different kinds of difficult life. So what I want to share with you this morning is something that's really important. There's a few things that I have found in the divine principle, in God's word, that are life-changing. This knowledge that changes your entire life. One of them for me has been to discover God's existence. To realize that God exists, is my heavenly parent, and loves me unconditionally. That for me was a life-changing experience. Second one was, actually this came first for me, was the realization that there is a spiritual world, that we are eternal beings. If you really understand what that means, that you are an eternal being, you're going to live forever. 1,000,000 years from now, we can all get together and talk about I remember how it was back then with Reverend Mrs. Dew and in Las Vegas. Right? We could have a 1,000,000 year reunion of the Las Vegas Family Church. Okay? My point is that knowledge of your eternal existence, that can change your life. It changes your whole way of looking at life. That everything you do here is going to count there. You're shaping your eternal life here. So that's a life-changing truth. And the third one is what I want to share with you today. Okay? This life-changing truth. Okay? Indemnity. The word indemnity, okay, in our movement is not well liked. But I want to explain in this sermon this morning that if you understand indemnity, if you understand this principle, it can really change your entire life. Like the egg that Jonathan talked about, if you can find this particular egg, it's going to change your life in a great and just amazing way. Okay? All right, so indemnity, the definition in the dictionary, compensation for damage, loss, or injury suffered. Okay? Compensation means, you're getting back something. They're going to give it back to you, right? Compensation, you're going to get it back. For damage, something was damaged or something was lost or there was some injury, okay? Right? So if there's a car accident and, you get hurt and your car gets wrecked, indemnity is they have to pay you back for the damage they've done, the hurt they've done. Is that okay for everyone? Everyone is clear about that? Okay. So this word is usually used in banking and with insurance. It's not used in religion anywhere except for in our movement. Because it's a very important truth, and Reverend Moon was trying to, he wants the right word to be used when we translate this into English from the Korean. Now, some people might say, maybe how about karma? Okay? There's a few similarities, but fundamentally, this is not the same. This is not the kind of Far Eastern Hindu idea of karma. Okay? It's not. It's something very different. Okay? So this is what we want to talk about here. So this is a long quote. This is from the Divine Principle. So I hope you'll go back home and dust off your Divine Principle book, and you'll review this quote, okay? Indemnity. When someone has lost his original position or state, he must make some condition to be restored to it. Okay, so if you lose your position, to get back to where you were, you have to make some effort or some condition. The making of such conditions of restitution is called indemnity. For example, to recover lost reputation, position, or health, one must make the necessary effort or pay the due price. Suppose two people who once loved each other come to be on bad terms. They must make some condition of reconciliation before the love they previously enjoyed can be revived. In like manner, it is necessary for human beings who have fallen from God's grace into corruption to fulfill some condition before they can be restored to their true standing. We call this process of restoring the original position and state through making conditions, what do you call it? Exactly. Okay. All right, so I want to make sure you understand this point, right? So it's very simple, actually. It's something that we all know. It's like just basic common sense. If anything loses its position, if it falls from its position, okay, like I have a pen, and oops, I dropped the pen, okay? For the pen to get back to where it was before, is it going to do it by itself? Can you just wish for it to happen? No. You have to bend down, and you have to make effort to pick it up. We all understand that, right? If I break my bone, it talked about health. If I break my bone, right, the bone is broken. Then to restore it, what? It's not going to just do it by itself. You have to go to the doctor. They put the bone back the right way. And then over some time period, it heals. And then your arm can be restored. Okay? And then it goes on to say, this is also true for spiritual things when it comes to relationships between people. So if a man were to cheat on his wife, okay, let's say they've been married for 30 years and he has some cute secretary and she, kind of flirts with him, and then they go to some party for the office and he gets drunk and he has a relationship with this woman, okay? And his wife finds out. Then how to fix that? A relationship has been broken. A promise of fidelity and love has been severely damaged and broken. Can that be restored easily, do you think? Can he just come and say, oh, sorry, honey, I slipped. But things are cool now, right? Is there any woman who would accept that? No. So that's my point. And the divine principle is making this point. Just like your health, just like dropping the pen, just like it's true for everything in life, to restore relationships of love, to restore your spiritual state, you have to go through some effort, through some process. And this is the idea which is contained in the idea of indemnity. You're restoring something, okay? For an example, okay, this is from the Bible, Matthew 17:21. But this kind, and Jesus is talking about a demon, like an evil spirit, okay? This kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. Okay? So you thought, oh, Jesus has this incredible magical power because he's God and he can do anything. He can heal this person. He could change, the water to wine, change the dirt to gold. He has this power to do anything. Okay? But then some secret is revealed here. And Jesus empowered his disciples to heal people. But there was a young man who had epileptic fits. He had these possessions, right? And they couldn't heal this person. And then Jesus says, oh, you have little faith. And then Jesus heals this person. And then what does he say? When they ask him, why couldn't we heal this person? His response, but this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. It means that actually there's no miracles. Behind every miracle, Jesus is making conditions of indemnity. He is sacrificing. He is praying. He is shedding tears. He is sacrificing in ways that nobody understands or can see. He sacrifices family. He sacrificed so many things that people don't see. But on that foundation of sacrifice and suffering, then he gives these blessings. He gives these conditions. He gives it to other people to heal them and to love them, right? So this is an example in the Bible of a condition of indemnity, okay? And there's a quote from Reverend Moon, true father. Why does indemnity have to be paid? It is because human beings have a portion of responsibility. The first human ancestors failed to fulfill their responsibility, and we, their descendants, have yet to fulfill it. And this is the amazing revelation. It is. Every difficulty you have, every difficulty we face, is the direct result of choices that people made before us. Okay? So there is this path to restore God's ideal. And God is determined to restore that original ideal. Okay? To take us on this path. So we call this the path or the providence of restoration. And there's 3 points, okay? Providence, restoration. First of all, you need someone to do it. Someone has to stand and say, okay, I will take responsibility to fix the things of the past which made God's ideal impossible. The sins of the past, the people who did bad things in the past. I will step forward and I will be that central person and I will take responsibility. So indemnity and responsibility are linked. They can't be separated. Okay? Then what do you need? You need a time period. It takes time to restore the ideal. It takes time to restore that broken relationship between that husband and wife. It takes time for your arm to heal, right? If your house is broken down, it takes time to fix it. Okay? So one thing you have to realize in your path of life is you need to have perseverance. You need to have patience. You need to be able to keep going when it seems like there's not hope. Time period is very important. Jesus had to fast, 20 days? No. 25? No. 39? What if at 39 days and 23 hours he said, okay, I give up on this one? Then he would never have been able to fulfill his mission. So Jesus had to keep going until God showed him, until that condition was fulfilled. Okay? And third point is we have to make good choices. We have to make choices that are going to restore the bad choices of the past. Okay? Another quote. My life has been a course of seeking out the path of restoration through indemnity. This means that all of you have to do is follow the course that I have already found. So I want to conclude with a few points here. Your life. You can see your life centered upon your own personal difficulties. Those difficulties will never end. Never. And it's not going to move you anywhere. It's not going to bring you to any place. Yes, you might become more successful in your job. Yes, you might become more successful in your career. Yes, you might lose some weight. Yes, you might look better. Yes, you might become more popular. Yes, you may gain lots of things you think are valuable. Okay? But they're not. When you leave this world, all those things will fall out of your hand like grains of sand. And you're going to lose them all. Okay? So that's why the divine principle is saying to the world, do not take the position of this person that me-centered life is difficult. Okay? Instead, we need to change our consciousness and to realize, wow, everything that's going on in the world, everything that's going on in my life is the direct result of the choices that people made before me by their portion of responsibility. Beginning with who? Beginning with 2 people. Who are they? Adam and Eve. Okay? Those 2 people made a choice by their own free will, and they moved away from God's will. They turned their back on God and went a different direction. And since that time, except for Jesus, no one has taken responsibility for that mistake. Okay? So that's what is going to make this age different. That's what true parents are bringing that's going to make this age a different age. And God is calling on us to take responsibility for that and not focus on my centered difficulties because they don't really exist. Okay? What really is important is how we can help God restore his ideal. In God's eyes, there's only 2 people in the world. There's Adam and there's Eve. Okay? So understanding indemnity, understanding responsibility means, as a man, I say to God, okay, God, I'll be Adam. Okay? I'll take the position of Adam. And for a woman to say, okay, God, I'll take the position of Eve. Okay? And I will work with you together to fix their mistake and help you to realize that original world of goodness that you intended from the beginning. then on that path, you will also face difficulty, right? But your attitude towards the difficulty will be completely different, right? So then your thinking will be this: every problem that comes to me is necessary for me to face, because that problem comes to me because someone in my past made a certain mistake, okay? Do you understand? So let's say a man has all the time temptation for sexual desires, all the time sexual temptation coming, doesn't seem to stop. If they're centered upon themselves, they're going to think, I'm a pervert, I'm a weirdo. Okay? I've got no hope. I'm going to escape this world. I'm going to drink alcohol, or I'm going to commit suicide, or whatever it might be. But a person who's walking this path, when all those sexual temptations come, okay, do you think Jesus was ever tempted sexually? Do you think? The Bible says he went through every manner of temptation. And within temptation, do you think sexual temptation is one of them? It's the biggest one, right? All right. So a person going through a lot of sexual temptation will think, God's trusted me, right? In my ancestry, in the past, people committed many sexual sins. And now all this garbage is coming to me. All right, I will take it, and I will persevere. I will endure, right? And I will overcome this thing. Someone else maybe cannot stand authority, right? If you try to tell that person to do something, right, the anger comes out, like, "Ugh!" Like John Jackson says, Andy, hey Andy, can you please do this? "Ugh!" Why he tells me to do things, right? So then in this position, we just think, I'm self-righteous. But if we are thinking about going God's path, taking responsibility for mistakes, then we'll think, maybe in the past, my ancestors, or going back, they committed sin of dominating people or being abused by people. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to be the good Adam. You understand? So it means if we take this understanding, then everything in life we see differently. We are part of God. We're working together with our heavenly parent, God, and with our brothers and sisters, and we are working to build this heavenly kingdom. And we're going to do it by restoring all these problems of the past. So when difficulties come, we don't think in a self-centered way, I'm no good, or by the same token, if you have great fortune, you can easily think, I'm pretty special. I'm more special than all of you. Look how well I'm doing. Look how successful I am. Look at you guys. What are you accomplishing? Okay? When we are in this position, me-centered life is difficult, then we become arrogant and we become terrible people. But when we think, I'm working with God in this providence, then we realize, wow, some good fortune, someone before me did something great. So my responsibility is to do something even greater, to use all this good fortune to help God's providence, to love people in the world who have less than me, who have less fortune than I have. So I believe this is one of the most important eggs you can find, okay? So we can discover God in your eternal life. But God needs for us to realize, wow, I'm Adam. Wow, I'm Eve. And I can be God's son and daughter who work with him to build his kingdom on this earth. Amen? Aju? All right, please join me with me in prayer.
Feels like it's an uphill climb. Sometimes I get weary on the way. When I look back at where I've been, when I look back, I'm sure I've been. I was right there in your arms, and I can say, every moment of my life, God, you never left my side. Every valley, every storm, you were there, you were there. I don't need to know what's next. You'll be with me every step. Through it all, through it all, I can see you carried me. There are days I wonder if you can fix the mess I'm in. Times when nothing seems to go the way it should. When I look back on every season, I can find there's 10,000 reasons to trust that you can work all things for good. Every moment of my life, God, you never left my side. Every valley, every storm, you were there, you were there. I don't need to know what's next. You'll be with me every step. Through it all, I can see. Through the wind and waves, through the worst mistakes, through the times I thought I walked alone, you were holding